It's the end of July, and you know what that means. It means it's time for Halloween. I recently came across this image, probably on Instagram, and thought it'd be a fun project. I already went ahead and got all the materials I'm gonna need. I think it's gonna be a fairly quick one, so we're just gonna get straight into it. Since this is such a big project, we are going to be doing most of this on the floor. So I'm just going to bring in the mirror pieces and then we'll get started to figuring out all these little measurements. I went ahead and bought 2 of these super cheap mirrors you can get from, I got mine from Target, which you can get them from Walmart, any store like that. They're like $5 a piece. They're not very much. But on the back side, you can see on this one here, I took the frame off already. It was kind of a pain, if I'm being honest. This paper is just glued to the back of this. You can just slit this and pop the mirror out fairly easy. It is glued to this plastic frame, so you gotta be kind of careful you don't break the frame if you want to keep it or not, and then also not to break the mirror itself. There is going to be a little bit of a glass cutting process I've never really done before, and I think we're going to do that first in case anything weird happens. We can forget about the process of the frames and go get some new mirrors to try it again. Alright, so this is going to be like the weird part of this project. I've never done this before. It seems pretty self-explanatory. I am going to put on goggles though. I probably should put on gloves maybe, but I don't really have anything laying around. But I already had ordered this glass cutter. Came with a bunch of different tips, and I picked the right one for this. I'm pretty sure, and already oiled this thing up. So what I'm gonna do now is I got this angle set where I think I want it to be, and I'm just gonna give this a couple scores, see if I can't get this going. And it says to put the handle underneath and just give it a nice little whack, and it should just pop. So we'll see how easy that goes. So that was less stressful than I thought. Given it that solid whack was kind of iffy, but it cracked just fine. This ruler did kind of get in the way. I might change what I used for the straight edge. The last like ½ inch didn't get scored with the initial cut, so I had to go in and recut it, and it did not want to cut perfectly straight. Probably can't really tell, but I just gave it an extra little score and knocked out those little chunks. So right now I have like this little bit of glass mirror dust, and just a quick little tip. Instead of like brushing this up, I'm gonna stick it with tape, and hopefully that'll collect all those little pieces and I won't get cut. Alright, now that we got our mirrors cut, I do want to say just to be careful, because I feel like that fresh cut edge is a little bit sharper than the factory sides. It's actually not too bad. I ran some sandpaper over the edge just to kind of dull that down a little bit. But you know, this is still kind of pointy, so you just want to be careful with all that while you're working with all this. But what I'm going to do now is actually pull up my image that I already created with, I kind of figured out most of these measurements. I'll put it up here. So what I'm gonna do now is double check that, make sure everything is gonna fit properly, and start marking and cutting my pieces of wood out. Now that we got all our pieces cut out, I got them laid out here, how I'm gonna put them together. So what I'm gonna do is just start measuring everything out, and I like to start drilling it out with a little 1/8 inch hole and then screw into that. It just helps from the wood splitting and everything like that. And then once we get both of these put together, we'll come back and we'll mark them for the mirrors, and where I'm gonna have to cut a little bit of a notch to insert the mirrors into these. So now that we got all our pieces pretty much ready to go, I went ahead and did the initial burning and rubbing them down that I do. And now what I'm going to be doing is, this is actually my last piece that I have to do. I went ahead and did all the other pieces. Is I cut a piece of the mirror from the pieces that broke, and I added tape to one side so I don't get cut holding it, and then I put in a piece of sandpaper around it to create like a little bit of a sand block. And what I'm doing is just sanding down this channel, and what that's going to do is make it nice and smooth, also a little bit straighter, and then the thickness of the sandpaper gives just enough room for the mirror to slide in there real nice and tight. But this takes a little bit of time, so I'm going to throw you on the time lapse. Now that we got these channels all sanded out, this should fit together pretty good. I already did the other one, and it's a little sketchy, you know. You don't want to crank down the screws real tight real fast, or else you might crack the mirror, which would be a huge pain in the butt. But what I'm gonna do now is, I have the sides already set up. I have the one piece up here you can't see, and then I'm gonna start putting in that piece as well, and just kind of try and finagle this mirror into these little slots. It's kind of a pain, but I got these little foam pieces here, and it's gonna help elevate the mirror off the ground, so when it's sitting properly, it fits in there a little bit nicer. So right now I'm just gonna start putting that under there. Now the last couple things we're gonna do is, one main thing is this back of the mirror looks kind of a mess because I just tore the paper that was on there off, trying to get it away from the original frame. So I'm gonna just put a quick layer of black on that just to make it look halfway decent. You're never really gonna see it, but it'll make me feel better. And then we're gonna go through with our dark walnut stain and just do a quick coat just to kind of even things out. It'll help brush off any excess dust that might be on here and just really clean things up. It'll also seal it up, which I would do anyway with a clear or something, but doing it with a dark walnut will just help out, even out any unevenness from the burn-in we did. We're also gonna add little caps to all the screws. It'll just help make those stand out a little bit more and just have that little more industrial type look to it when it's all finished. And the final thing, we'll be taking some rope and we're gonna add it to the end of the top of the mirror, and we're gonna go through over the top little hump and then down the side and just kind of like make a sort of a messy wrap on the bottom, and that'll just be a nice little extra detail at the very end. Alright, so there you have it. I'm super happy with how these things came out. It's kind of a pain to film a very tall thing in a wide format like YouTube, but I couldn't be much more happy with these than, you know, how they came out. We did have that little accident with the short one. With the other mirror over there, you can kind of see over on the side, it did crack. We just had to cut it a little bit shorter, which is totally fine. I am gonna end up keeping one of these and selling one, so whoever purchases it, I'll give them a choice if they want the longer or the shorter one. It doesn't really make a difference to me. You can kind of see more of yourself a little bit closer in the longer one, obviously, but I also really like all the little details we got in here with the caps on the screws. Really stands out, makes it look a little more old-fashioned, industrial or whatever. And then that final detail with the rope, I think really brings it all together, makes it a very nice standout piece. If you'd like to see these things kind of come together in real time, you can give my Instagram a follow. I post there daily of little updates I'm doing that are pretty much real time, everything I'm doing day to day. But if you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe. I'm always over here creating furniture, art decor, art pieces, paintings, who knows. Leave a comment what I should build next. See you on the next one.